What if the exhaustion you feel isn't too much sensitivity, but the mental load women carry every single day? Stay tuned for an honest conversation about invisible labor, emotional caring, and chronic overfunctioning. Welcome back to the Resilient MD, the podcast and YouTube channel where we have honest conversations about medicine, burnout, resilience, and how to care for others without losing ourselves in the process. I'm Dr. Anna McDowell, certified life coach, allergist, and your host. Today's episode is about something many women carry every single day without even realizing how heavy it has become. Not because they are weak, but because it has been normalized for so long. Today, we are talking about the invisible load, the emotional labor, the mental tracking, the constant anticipating, the invisible management of other people's needs, emotions, schedules, expectations, and well being. The kind of work that rarely appears on a to do list, but quietly consumes enormous amounts of energy. And one of the reasons so many women feel chronically exhausted is because they are carrying far more than they've ever allowed themselves to fully acknowledge. One of the hardest things about invisible labor is just that it is invisible, not only to others, but often to the person carrying it too. Because when something becomes habitual, we stop recognizing it as effort. For example, many women are not just simply completing tasks, attending meetings, seeing patients, managing households. They are simultaneously remembering what everyone needs, anticipating problems before they happen, emotionally regulating the whole environment, monitoring how others are feeling, planning ahead constantly, carrying mental checklists all day long. And much of this happens automatically, without pause, without recognition, without recovery. So by the end of the day, many women feel deeply exhausted while simultaneously believing, I shouldn't feel this tired. But exhaustion makes much more sense when you finally account for the invisible work too. Many women physicians eventually realize that they are functioning not only as professionals, but as emotional infrastructure for the people around them. At work, you may be supporting patients emotionally, helping staff regulate stress, maintaining professionalism under pressure, smoothing interpersonal dynamics, carrying responsibility for outcomes. And at home, it may continue immediately into caregiving, planning, anticipating family needs, emotionally supporting others. And because women are often socialized to be emotionally attuned, much of this labor becomes automatic. You notice tension in the room, who is upset, what needs attention, how to keep things running smoothly before you even consciously think about it. And while empathy is beautiful, constant emotional management without replenishment becomes exhausting. One of the most draining aspects of the invisible load is anticipation. Not simply reacting to what's happening, but mentally preparing for what might happen. Many women walk through life continuously scanning, what am I forgetting? What still needs to be done? How will this affect everyone else? What problems might arise later? And because physicians are trained to anticipate risk professionally, this tendency can become amplified in personal life too. Your brain rarely fully powers down. It remains in a state of constant, low level monitoring. And over time, this creates chronic cognitive fatigue. Not because you're incapable, but because your nervous system was never designed to carry this level of sustained vigilance indefinitely. One of the most painful parts of invisible labor is that it often lacks external validation. If you spent all day physically moving boxes, everyone would understand why you were tired. But if you spent all day emotionally regulating, mentally tracking, problem solving, anticipating, carrying responsibility internally, people may see you sitting quietly and assume you didn't do that much today. And because much of the labor is invisible externally, women often invalidate their own exhaustion too. They think other people have it harder. I should be able to handle this. Why am I so tired all the time? But your exhaustion is not irrational. Your brain and body are responding to continuous output. Even when nobody else sees it, even you. I see many women physicians also quietly carrying the pressure of being dependable, competent, emotionally stable, available, endlessly capable. And the more capable you are, the more responsibility often gets placed on you. People trust you, rely on you, expect you to handle things. And over time, your ability to carry heavy loads becomes interpreted as evidence that the load is sustainable. But capability and sustainability are not the same thing. Just because you can carry something does not mean you were meant to carry it alone indefinitely. Before we move on, I want to pause for a moment. I'm curious, have you been feeling exhausted, discouraged, or frustrated and not quite sure why? Are you quietly wondering if this is just how life in medicine has to be? Well, I see you. You don't have to give up on yourself or your dreams. And the good news is that you don't have to figure it all out alone. I built a 6-week one-on-one coaching program designed to help women physicians gently remove the barriers keeping them stuck and rediscover clarity, balance, and purpose. It is called the Resilient MD, just like the podcast and YouTube channel. If you're ready, you can begin today. Schedule your free clarity call. The link is in the show's notes. One of the dangers of chronic overfunctioning is that eventually it becomes your baseline. You stop asking, is this too much? Instead, begin asking, why can't I handle this better? That shift is incredibly important because the problem is no longer the weight itself. The problem becomes you, at least in your mind. So instead of questioning the accumulation of responsibilities, emotional labor, and constant caring, many women internalize exhaustion as a personal deficiency. They think, I'm too sensitive, I'm disorganized, I need to manage my time better. Does this sound familiar? When in reality, they may simply be carrying far more than they were ever meant to carry continuously. One of the most healing things that can happen is simply this: you begin naming what has been invisible, not dramatically, not angrily, but honestly. You begin realizing emotional labor is labor. Anticipation consumes energy. Constant attunement is cognitive draining. Carrying everyone's expectations has a cost. And once you can see that load clearly, you stop automatically interpreting your exhaustion as weakness. That shift matters deeply because self-compassion becomes much more accessible when your experience finally makes sense. I observe many women unconsciously believe they must reach complete depletion before their exhaustion become valid, as if they need a breakdown, an illness, a crisis, complete burnout, before they are allowed to admit this is heavy. But you do not need to collapse in order for your exhaustion to count. You do not need visible suffering to justify needing support, rest, boundaries, or even space. Sometimes simply acknowledging, I have been carrying a tremendous amount for a very long time, is the beginning of healing. If you've been wondering why you feel so tired lately, I hope today helped you understand something important. The load was real, even when nobody saw it, even when you minimize it yourself, even when you kept functioning beautifully on the outside. And naming the invisible load matters because it allows you to stop turning your exhaustion into evidence that something is wrong with you. Maybe you're not failing. Maybe you have simply been carrying too much for too long. And that truth deserves compassion. Remember, my wings grow when I listen. If you found value in today's episode, send it to a friend or colleague who might also benefit from a quiet moment of reflection. In the next week's episode, we will discuss the importance of learning to tolerate uncertainty. Curious? Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And one more thing before you go. If you're realizing that you've spent years taking care of everyone else while slowly disconnecting from yourself, I created a free reflection guide just for you. It's called People Pleasing in Medicine, and you can download it at the link below. Enjoying the show? Please take a moment to rate it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or your favorite platform and hit the like button on YouTube. Your support really helps this message reach more amazing women like you. You will help a lot. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your honesty. And thank you for allowing yourself to finally see the weight you may have been carrying quietly for years. I'm Dr. Anna McDowell, a resilient MD just like you. I'll see you next week.